So, with the expected date of this year's WWDC event now leaked, what can we expect? Hi, welcome back to me, David, talking tech and audio. So, over the weekend, we had the date leaked of what we think, at least, is going to be the WWDC event this year. With that in mind, I thought it might be a good idea to look ahead and see what we might be looking forward to. So, when is it going to be? And where is WWDC going to be this year? Well, WW is generally held in June, and it looks likely they're going to stick to that. As I mentioned, Monday, 6th of June is the good bet at the moment. And if we look at last year, the invites were sent out on the 30th of March, and the event actually ended up being on the 7th of June. So this year, I'm recording this on 29th of March. We're expecting invites to go out any time now. And I say, looking at Monday, June 6th. It used to be held in the McHenry Centre when it was a live event, and there seems to be very split opinions at the moment as to whether this WWDC will be live or recorded. If it is a live event, it'd be the first one since the pandemic, and the opinions seem very much divided, with John Prosser and Sam Cole both saying it's going to be an in-person live event, but Mac Rumours saying no, it's going to be a recorded event. I actually kind of like the recorded events now. I've got used to them. I like that it's snappy, it's sharp, it's in and out in an hour. There's no kind of waffling and overplaying to the camera. I really like the sharp, short delivery of the pre-recorded events. That said, WWDC being about getting people together historically, it was the idea of getting developers together with the Apple engineers to talk about software that was coming up. This is obviously one of those occasions when it's really good to have people together. So if they can do it, I can see the benefit from the company's point of view for doing it. And only time will tell, I guess. At the moment, as I say, opinions are very divided. Monday, 6th of June looks like the next date in your diary when we're going to be looking at the software that's going to be coming up through the course of the next year. And don't forget, it was WWDC last year that we heard about universal control for the first time. And we've only just ended up getting it, some 10 months, 9-10 months after the event this year. So what they announce at WWDC doesn't necessarily mean it's coming quickly. It's just plans for the future. But we're going to be looking at some hardware that I think might at least get mentioned to in just a moment. If you're enjoying these videos, don't forget to leave me a like and also get subscribed. Now, with the event really being about software, we're going to get at least a look at the next operating systems pretty much across the board, I'd imagine. So you can expect to at least hear mentions of iOS and iPad OS 16. We're going to get Mac OS 13. We're going to get a look at TV OS 16 and also Watch OS 9. Now, there's also some new features that are being talked about on iPhone 14. On the 14 Pro and Pro Max, there's this discussion that we might be getting under the glass technology for the first time ever with the hole and punch idea. And if that happens, developers are going to need time to work on apps. So maybe we'll get an idea of what's coming with the 14 at WWDC. And also there's new features that are being very heavily rumored at the moment, maybe on the 14s, at least the Pro and Pro Max. And that could be the car crash technology and also the low satellite technology that we've spoken about before. That being if you're in an area with no GPS or any data, you'll still be able to send emergency messages notifying if you need help, or also if there's an emergency service that needs to be wanted and called to a certain area. So WWDC could actually give us an insight what's coming on iPhone 14 later this fall. Although the event is clearly driven around software, it's not unusual for them to mention hardware as well. And at this event, particularly if it's an in-person event, I think there's a very good chance we might get our first glimpse, our first look at the headset. As you know, Apple has been working on an AR, VR, mixed reality headset for quite some time now. And developers are going to need time to make apps because we know that the headset is going to have its own app store. And developers are going to need a lot of time to begin working on how they want to develop apps for this brand new headset. So what do we know about this headset at the moment? Well, it's all a little bit sketchy. We know weight is a big concern, and they're trying to make it a very lightweight design so it doesn't become too heavy when it's on the face. The band around the head is going to be very much of an Apple Watch style, we think, and they're working on a brand new technology for the mesh that's up against your face. So it's a really tight but equally a soft fit. The overall look could be something similar to the Oculus Quest. We don't know what chip's going to be in it yet, but whatever chip it's going to be is going to have to be mighty fast. There's going to be a lot of processing going on inside of this headset. So I doubt it'll be the M2. I would imagine it'd be one of the iterations we've got of the current M1, possibly the M1 Pro or the M1 Ultra is going to be the kind of chip that's going to be in there. Because don't forget, this headset isn't going to be cheap. We know it's going to be around the $3,000 pounds mark. So it might well stand one of the premium chips that they've got from the M1 range just at the moment. Display-wise, we're not too sure. Definitely there's going to be 2 screens and possibly a third. And if there's a third, it'd be for peripheral vision, and we're thinking at the moment the screens are probably going to be mini OLED technology. We're expecting some kind of eye tracking technology, and up to 12 cameras that are going to be literally sensing the whole body and every movement you're making to make this whole experience as true and immersive as possible. So that's all the news I've got on the headset for now, but I think there are two other bits of hardware that might just get a mention at this year's WWDC event in June. The first of those being MacBook Air. The MacBook Air is about to have its biggest overhaul ever. Gone, first of all, is the taper design of the body, that wedge-shaped taper design that's been with it since its inception. It's going to go for a much more squared-off look, similar to the MacBook Pros. And also, we're going to be getting colours in the range because it's one of their consumer-level devices, similar to the 24-inch iMac. Not only that, Ross Young of Display Supply Chain Consultants is also telling us that there's going to be bigger screens, possibly a 13.6-inch display and also a 15-inch display is coming to MacBook Air in this year of unheralded changes for them. It's a great machine. When it had the M1 chip in it last year, it was one of the best machines on the market, bar none. Everybody loved the MacBook Air with that M1 chip in it, and it could be the first of the machines that comes with M2. Now, I don't think it will necessarily get ready for shipping in June. I think it could be talked about ready for shipping in the autumn time. It seems to fit much more into an autumn release for me, as students, both college students and school students, are getting ready to go back for the new term. To release it in the summer doesn't seem to fit it together, but I think certainly some big changes coming for MacBook Air this year. As to the last bit of hardware that'll be coming, or at least shown, I think, at WWDC, will be Mac Pro. We know it's coming. Everybody, the world, its wife, and its dog has mentioned that John Turner did his sign-off to camera on Peak Performance saying Mac Pro, but that's for another day. Well, I think that other day could be WWDC. Once again, much like with the headset, developers are going to need time to get used to the direction that Apple are going with this brand new Mac Pro. There's some crazy speculation at the moment saying it could have up to 40 CPU cores and 128 graphic cores. I don't think they're going to try and make it small. They don't need to prove that anymore. They've shown what they can do with the Mac Studio. I think also it's going to need to be bigger for cooling. If we look at the size and the extra amount of cooling in the Mac Studio with the Ultra chip, we know it does run quite warm. So I think with the Mac Pro and these crazy amounts of core counts going on, they're going to need some space for cooling. And also, I think just that stance, that statement that this is the Mac Pro is going to be needed. So I don't think they're looking to make it small. Then, of course, it's down to modularity. How are they going to go about the modularity that the pros love? I can't see pros wanting to buy a machine that they can never touch at all. I would say probably it's going to be along the lines of having to go back to an Apple store or an authorized dealer to have some more of the proprietary chip put in it. There's got to be some sort of modularity about it to satisfy the pros. I think there'd be a lot of unsatisfied Apple Pro users that if the next machine that was to come out with the Pro name on it could not be increased over the lifespan of the computer at all. This is not going to be a cheap machine. We know that if the Mac Studio in its top spec is around about £8,000, $8,000, it's almost certain that the Mac Pro is clearly going to be $10,000 and above. So somehow they've got to make this machine modular. We're all interested to work out how this is going to work in the new days of Apple Silicon. And the only other thing that might go along with that, of course, with a Mac Pro, you need a display. Maybe we're going to get the 7K XDR display at least coming later in the year as well to go with it. It would seem sense if they got a brand new lineup, high-end Mac Pro, that they'll probably bring the 7K XDR display along with it, which will be 120 hertz refresh rate and a ProMotion display. And that way you then have 3 displays in the range, which is kind of getting back to how they were with the cinema range back in the mid-2000s. So that's what I'm looking forward to at WWDC. But more importantly, what are you looking forward to? Is there any software or hardware that you're really hoping Apple give us a little look at the summer event? Mac Pro, what do you think they're going to do about modularity? Software, do you think maybe finally we'll get some Pro apps on the iPad? Will it be Final Cut Pro? Is that something you'd love to see on iPad? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to get subscribed and also drop these videos a like. It would really help me and the channel out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.